It starts over nothing. The dishwasher, perhaps, a tone of voice, a look. And then, and about the time it takes to read this sentence, it's not about the dishwasher anymore. Your heart is pounding. Their voice is rising. And both of you are saying things that have nothing to do with tonight and everything to do with the last 2 years. Here's what nobody teaches us. A fight is decided in the first 60 seconds, not who wins it, whether it becomes a conversation or becomes impactful damage. I've spent almost 2 decades sitting with couples in crisis, and I can tell you that the couples who make it are not the ones who stopped fighting. They're the ones who learned what to do in the first minute when the emotional floodgates begin to open up and flow. And every instinct that we have as a human being, as a response, is about to probably make it worse. So today I'm going to show you what's actually happening inside you when a fight ignites and the 2 primary ways most human beings handle it. You're going to recognize yours immediately, and the exact skill that slows the flow of emotion down, including the sentence that I want you to have ready before you ever need it. Welcome to Love Shack Live, the podcast for anyone standing at a crossroads on their relationship, living with daily conflict, growing emotional distance, or wondering whether genuine connection is still possible. I'm Stacey Bartley, and I'm here with my husband and co-host Tom and our daughter Brooke. And before we dive in, I also want to remind you that we are live every Monday at 1 p.m. PST on socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to be exact. I invite you to come and hang out with us and bring your thoughts and your questions as well. We do these for you, so take advantage of them. Back to the episode.
Hey, thank you for coming. Welcome to the Love Shack.
In our last episode, we helped you to decide and see whether you're in a rough patch or real trouble. The number one question that came back was this: okay, but what do I do when a fight is actually starting? So today we thought it was appropriate for us to answer that one. I'm going to start by saying this, and I'm going to come back to it at the end because it's something that we don't commonly think about. The calmest person in the room will often decide where the fight goes.
You'd think just the opposite.
You think just the opposite. You would think that the person who was kind of having a meltdown would decide where.
And the
it goes.
Loudest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just hang with me.
All right.
We're going to talk about why that's the case. But let's begin the conversation with what actually begins to happen when a fight starts to get lit.
It ignites.
Yes. Well, there's something that ignites it. And a fight is very much like lighting a firecracker. It burns down the fuse, and you've only got so much time before the whole darn thing just goes kabam. And it's just whatever you're going to get.
Off to the races.
Off to the races. So there's this momentary piece of where we can make some choices. And then once it fuse is lit and burned through, you have no more choices.
Time, just for some clarity. So the time we have some choices, and again, this is all happening in nanoseconds, is when that fuse is burning down.
Yes.
I want to add a small caveat to this episode because don't beat yourself up for not being able to,
Yeah, good point.
to, rudder yourself in that tiny window, because that is the skill. Like being able to diffuse a fight in that window of the sparkler burning, that is the skill that we're talking about. And that takes practice,
Well, what comes to mind is here in California, they allow you to have fireworks, and 4th of July wasn't too long ago. We were at some friend's house, and there was one family member, not our family, but a family member where we were, who was lighting it. And I can just think, like, here he is, he lights it. Oh, wait a minute. And then he tries to go and stop it. I mean, can you think like, oh, heck no, I ain't not going in there to try to stop that thing. That's probably how we feel, like, no, man, here we are off to the races, right? Like, I mean, I was kind of concerned for him. He seemed very calm and casual, but I was like, oh, God, I hope everything kind of flames correctly. Right?
Well, there was a gentleman across the street who'd made a few homemade ones.
Yeah, man, them things were...
And some of them went off too early.
That wasn't part of the package, that one. Anyway, we digress, but we'll get back on track here. But I think that's what came to mind as you were saying that fuse, like, because, everyone's bracing, like, you can see it going down, and then the kaboom.
Well, and I just thought that was a really good metaphor, because even the anxiety and the attention that starts to build at just knowing that it's lit, right? And it's like, oh my God, what do we do? Throw it, throw a punch, say something, do something. And then bam. and there we are.
So you're going to give us some things to do while that fuse is burning down?
Yes. Well, and to be fair,
Maybe.
you really only got like 2.2 seconds.
It's true.
We've talked about this in our Better Love Club often because there is just such a tiny window where we actually can have some choices. And we even have a prayer's chance in hell of trying to catch it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's tricky. So like Brooke said, don't feel bad if you're like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? This isn't even possible. Yeah, it's a real thing. And here's why. So let's talk about this. What's happening when a fight ignites? We've kind of touched on it, but let's put it in real language. Emotion is the creator of our behavior. And when all of a sudden we recognize that maybe you just said, what did you just
What were
do?
those words that just came out of your mouth?
I can't believe you just went there. There's some version of something that lights it.
You guys just accused me of that before we should hit record.
Oh, gosh.
Thought I was getting a little bossy.
Yes, you
But,
were
for the listener,
bossy.
you all have to understand, sometimes I have to be a little bossy because, look, I'm dealing with these very powerful women that always boss me around.
There's some people on our social media who lately have been commenting, let the man talk. I just want to let everybody know he does talk and he knows that he can interrupt us at any moment.
Well,
right, Mom?
I'm going to send that follower a direct message to thank them. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm very patient. And then I take my moments where I have to kind of exert some control. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I need to use my voice. Remember, we reveal and witness. A lot of times I'm just witnessing for a long time.
Jeez. Okay, this is really good. We're going to play on this. So when words start to tumble out, every word has a corresponding emotion.
Every word.
Just think about that for a minute, except for the fill-ins.
Right, right. But I mean, the ones that matter.
That's trouble too. Like every word has a corresponding emotion. If I say zebra, what do you notice?
That just complicates the whole problem.
Emotion will throw off another corresponding series of essentially thoughts that then turn into words.
No wonder it's challenging for us.
Yes. And then when we really wrap our head around the reality that emotion flows, and it doesn't really matter whether we're going in a positive or negative direction, it will go in either direction. And it is the creator of our behavior. So you get enough emotion built up in us, we're going to respond to it. We're going to act it out. There is no other option. Okay. And
are there differing capacity limits for us, though, as to when it's going to either proactively or reactively blow, so to speak?
Well, I mean, depending on how much you're already carrying.
Okay.
So like each of us have a backlog of emotion, probably. Fair to say. How does that get accumulated? That's probably a topic for another podcast episode. How does it get accumulated? Really great question. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to dive deep into that. Just know it does. Because emotion, and just think about this. If you've ever experienced the common emotions of feeling anxious or spun up or upset, notice that tension that builds in your body.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a real thing. And how long can we hold it? And now let's go the other way even. Like, let's say I'm shutting down and I'm tired and I'm not tracking the conversation, don't really care to be involved in the conversation, or I'm kind of living in a space where I'm just kind of feeling down and depressed. What do I do with that emotion? Is that the day I'm going to jump up and I'm going to clean the house and go grocery shopping and have that difficult conversation? And, no, those are moments where because of the emotion, I have a difficult time even getting out of bed, putting my underwear on and taking a shower,
Just further breakdown and further shutdown.
The people who say, I don't do emotion, we talked about that on our last episode. They would attempt to push through what you just described, Mom, too, and then they would feel like a failure because you always say emotions are invisible, I feel like it's a very big thing that we try to not listen to them and try to not let them rule our lives. But then that sets us up for failure because we are pushing against an invisible thing that is trying to tell us to, slow down or relax or take an easy day, but you don't. It makes it even more likely that you will experience a fight in your relationship, because you're not listening to yourself.
Well, and it's even more nuanced than that because sometimes I do need to push through.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do need to back off. Right. And I need to know where I'm at and how to adjust that.
And how to understand the difference.
Yeah. Yes. And there's no set rule in regards to, well, every time you feel down, you should just rest. Okay, that could be a disaster.
Yeah.
You're spun up. Well, then you just get a hall pass and get to say whatever the hell you want to say. It's understanding how it flows, but it's also understanding what it is I need to do from the self-awareness that I have about where I'm at and really the direction that I need to probably counterbalance. So if I'm spinning up and I know that this is the place where I lose my shit and I'm sick and tired of doing that, well, then I probably want to learn some skills in order to downregulate because it's consistently creating mayhem and chaos in my life, in myself, and in my relationship. And we find that the more I quasi feed the emotion, the more intense and the more it increases to where we're in such a cycle of chaos and fighting and hurt feelings that we can't understand even what to do and where to go and what's happening. And conversely, we can go the other direction to where I can shut down so much so that the idea and the proposition, because of that emotion, is literally causing me to stop living. It is bottoming out, and I really don't have any emotional reason as to why I need to get going again. And those are two extremes. So it's not about demonizing any direction. It's about noticing where I'm at and the next best step for me to help me find a sense of well-being and balance emotionally within myself. And that's a tricky proposition.
I just want to make it clear that when I said what I just said, I wasn't trying to set rules for anyone. If you're feeling down, you must not engage. That's not what I meant. And I didn't make that clear. What I was trying to say is I think so many people are so scared to check in with themselves to see where they are at, that no matter where they are at, they don't know. And that not knowing causes so much mayhem and chaos in our relationships simply because we're not courageous enough, because it does feel scary if you're not comfortable with that, to go inside and see where you are. And that can even feel like, what do you mean? What are you even talking about? How do I do that?
100%. Commonly, when you bump into a person, not commonly, I'm just going to be bold here. When you bump into a person who says, oh, I don't do emotion, with great love and respect, what you're saying is, I don't understand emotions because you are doing emotions, or
they are doing you.
Yes, they are doing you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we can either step in and have some proactivity to it. Of course, we're not suggesting that they just run your life. No, we want to have
the opposite.
We want to have some synergistic alignment between the emotional and the physical. That we need both of them, and the logical. It's all supposed to work as a finely tuned human machine that we are, but it just seems things get out of balance, and then there's going to be a correction.
Well, emotion is going to create your behavior, and you're either aware of that so that you have some choice, which is what awareness will give you, or you succumb to it. But it's always going to win. It is the great creator of human behavior. Okay. And sure, we can stall it, thank goodness, right? And we have some choices in it, but very commonly we don't understand how to implement those choices with my emotion. And here's the other kicker, that if I can't translate what I'm thinking and feeling into a language that I understand, I will act it out on the people and environments around me. So we all probably have done such a thing where the emotion becomes so intense that I completely straight up lose my shit. I don't know a human being on the planet that doesn't lose their shit. And we just had a brand new baby in our family. So, when the intensity of the emotion becomes so strong, what does a baby do? It cries.
Yeah.
It's got nothing else to do. So it cries.
It's a fairly, and understandably, a little bit of a limited skill set at that point of the evolution.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
But also, I don't really feel like babies make the choice to cry. They just cry. Like, it's a instinctual response that they have. And I'm only saying that to say that expressing our emotions is natural. I think a lot of times we get all messed up because we're trying to be macho or brave, or we think it's too vulnerable, but it really is one of the most natural and human things that we do.
Yep. There is no other option. I either have the ability to understand and translate my emotions into language that I can share where I'm going to act it out. And that's not right or wrong or good or bad. It just is what it is.
It's how it works.
Yes.
Right? It's how it works.
Yes.
I think
we
that's
don't
an
get
important...
to have a debate about what
it's
it
simply
is.
how it works.
It's just how it works.
That's very refreshing information. This is simply how it works. That's good to know,
Well, and you can see where when I step into, we're talking about conflict. If I'm stepping into conflict and I have no idea or I don't have any understanding about it, you just kind of feel helpless, right? You just kind of feel helpless to it all. And then we get behind the emotional 8 ball, so to speak. And now I really do feel out of control because I am.
Well, I really think there really is a way that we can learn and study and practice how to navigate these difficult situations. Is that a foreign concept or is that reality? Well, until I met Stacy, it was very foreign to me. I was very conflict avoidant. I don't quite roll up my sleeves, even now that Stacy seems to. I mean, I say that's somewhat fun, but it's a skill. And the more that we practice the skill, the less intensity and the avoidance will lessen.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, to be honest, most of us, we don't like conflict because it's so uncomfortable and so unfamiliar.
And unpredictable.
Yeah, and unpredictable. That's exactly right, man. There's no book, page 19, we can open to.
A very rewarding moment for me is when I have clients that maybe have what we would say anger management issues. And we break out the whiteboard and we start literally drawing how emotion flows and how it works and the repercussions of what it is I'm just saying to you in a very simple sentence, the relief on their face, like, because it's not, I'm a terrible person, I'm not a bad person. Finally, this makes sense. And now finally, I feel empowered to do something different.
And the dots maybe finally connect.
Yes.
And, Stacy draws, which, I don't think any of us think that something could be drawn in the emotional realm that would make sense for us. But, that's another modality that Stacy uses that we all, but Stacy's and she's not like a Picasso, to be fair.
Not enough to get the point across.
But it gets the point across in a visual versus another medium that seems to really land. It's very rewarding. Think like, why haven't I ever heard it like this before? We hear that so often, and it's good that you're hearing it now.
Yeah. So remember, we're talking about what's actually happening when a fight ignites. So we just talked about number 1, emotion starting to flow, and it's the creator of our behavior. Okay. And if we don't understand it, then we're going to act it out. There is no other way. Okay.
Okay.
The second is the most common demonstration of fighting is when you take your emotional hurt out on me, I then follow suit. I feel entitled. I match your emotional intensity and poor behavior with poor behavior and emotional intensity of my own. I give myself a hall pass to do those things. I get to because of how you just treated me.
We'll be right back.
You know that moment when your partner says something, your whole body goes hot, and 2 seconds later you say something you wish you hadn't? That moment has a name, and it's a missing skill. Here's what nobody taught us. Love isn't the problem in our relationships. Missing skills are. The ability to pause, to know what we actually feel, to say it in a way that someone can hear us. If you want to see which skills are already working for you and which ones are quietly tripping you up, take the Better Love Skills Quiz. It's free, takes less than 10 minutes, and at the end you get your Better Love Blueprint, a personalized look at where you're strong, where you're stuck, and exactly what to do next. Go to betterlovequiz.com. That's betterlovequiz.com. Your free blueprint is waiting.
Okay.
Don't you think that little emotional hall pass we give ourselves often happens so quickly that we don't even realize we've given ourselves the hall pass to do it?
100. I think it's practiced behavior.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all have learned and know to do, right? We're either going to fire back because of the demonstration that we've seen, or I'm going to go quiet. I know I don't want to go there, but I'm going to go exceptionally quiet. And it's almost like I go into a fight or freeze mode.
Or even leave, like go out the door and walk away.
To avoid it, right? So understandably so. We haven't seen a lot of great outplays of emotional behavior all of a sudden escalating between 2 or more people, and then it moves into a stable place. Like, how often have you seen that in your life?
Almost never.
So the common thing is that we see this and then we give ourselves a hall pass to contribute to it. So I'm now matching your escalation and I'm allowing myself to say a bunch of things I've thought that I've never said, but I'm going to now because you're pissing me off. So game on. And we're both feeding the emotion. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. In this place, ideas of de-escalating the conversation instead of feeding it feels like you're kind of losing. It feels like you're kind of giving in, like you're letting them get away with this shitty thing that they just said or did. And that is not okay. Giving them a hall pass. If I de-escalate it and I don't come in hot and heavy, then I'm basically acquiescing and giving in, like I'm just letting them get away with this shitty thing. And so don't worry about it.
They haven't paid for their mistake.
Yes, exactly.
Right, exactly.
And so we don't even think to de-escalate it. Right. So that de-escalation can feel, like I said, a failure, and you don't deserve that.
Right.
So isn't it interesting that we hold de-escalating the emotion so that we could still course correct is kind of like something, no way, I can't do that because I deserve to be punished.
Well, then I'm permitting the behavior that isn't good.
Yeah. And now we start stepping into the idea of we can't have it both ways.
Okay.
You want to de-escalate the fight and stop the fighting in a productive way? Or do you want to be right? Do you want to make them pay?
Right.
Do you want to get the last word in? You can't go in both directions at the same time with the flow of emotion. And remember, emotion doesn't care what direction you go. It's going to go in the direction I feed. So very commonly, I flow in the direction of escalation. Okay. De-escalating, I just want to create a distinction here. It does not mean that I'm okay with your behavior. It just means that I'm going to keep that bomb from going off so that we can attempt to have a better, more productive conversation. And when I say conversation, I'm not sitting down at the table and we're all singing Kumbaya and overlooking the thing that you just did that was shitty and we know needs to be addressed. That's not what I'm saying.
I think that in all the years we've done this, and you all chime in too, but I think that's the part because we hear like, well, I don't think they have paid enough, because of all that they've hurt me. And look, I so understand, but do you understand that that direction is keeping you in the hostage place that you're still in after working with us for this time? Like, I get it, but like Stacey said, what is the outcome we're after?
Well, and more importantly, the thing that we grossly underestimate and overlook is who I become when I'm making somebody pay.
Oh, there we go. Now that's a good one. That's meat. There's a lot of meat on that bone right there, boy.
Who do I become in the process of making somebody pay for their egregious acts?
Well, and we also hear often, and this is shared privately, I'm going to do it neutrally, but I don't like the person I'm becoming. We have that shared to us too, don't we, guys? So someone has the courage to admit that to us, like, okay, well, this is important to look at because just what Stacey shared. I mean, it's funny how this works. It's not funny, but it is kind of, until you can really look at it objectively, like, oh my gosh, that's true.
I feel like we keep coming back to this in our private conversations that aren't being recorded, but really it's nuance. I feel like in the world of social media, we've kind of lost our ability to see nuance in online and in our real lives. So Mom too is explaining a situation right now where we think we either punish them or we de-escalate but we don't realize. Yeah. So we don't realize that there's a middle ground there where you can de-escalate, which isn't giving them a hall pass, but you can de-escalate the situation, and that doesn't mean you approve of their behavior. It just means you're trying to calm the moment so that instead of screaming at each other, you can actually discuss what's underneath the fight that you're having.
Yeah, very important point, Bear Brook. I would just unpack that a little bit more. And this is where, as we get into AI and stuff, we hear a lot. This is where judgment, and I'm not talking about judging others the way that this is having our own judgment within ourselves, like Brooke said, to understand this delicate nuance that is not just carte blanche, that's only one solution to one problem. Meaning this is so dynamic and delicate and fluid, and we have to continue to develop this capacity within ourselves, especially now, because everything is kind of vanillaized. You know what I'm saying? That's not how life works. Let's hope it doesn't work like that. especially in the human part of our journey. So what Brooke described is the ability for us to have some judgment at a time that we're really pissed off.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. It can't be overstated. Number one, relationships are the most emotionally nuanced journey that we take. So when you're looking for outside advice and outside perspectives on how you can get better at them, if you are looking at a person who says there is a black and white answer to every relationship problem, that's probably not a good place for you to be spending your time. That's why we don't tell you what to do. We don't give you the answer and say, no, you absolutely must do this, because nuance is required to be successful in finding solutions to these very complicated problems that we are all navigating in our own lives. And it's just the black and white thinking that we've all kind of clung on to recently is not going to serve us. It's only going to make you believe that you can either de-escalate or you can punish, and there's no room in between them. You know?
Yeah, so true.
Well said.
I really want to drive this point home. Allowing myself to say and do things, or it could flip the other way, allowing myself to not say and do things that I don't feel good about, causes a threat to our own sense of self-esteem and confidence in the long run. So essentially, I will pay the biggest price for my own behavior. And that's why it behooves me to decide what my part in this fight is going to be. Because I commonly don't feel better after just letting the lid blow off, right? I don't walk away and go, there, I feel better. Actually, I feel worse. And that's why. It's kind of like this idea and question of who am I becoming in the process of attempting to make you pay? Or who am I becoming in the process of avoiding this conversation and not saying anything that I feel like needs to be addressed? I'm just going to hold it instead. Both can take us to a place where I'm going to pay the biggest price for that in the holding or the expression of my own emotion. Okay. So we have emotion flows. It's responsible for my behavior. Our most common demonstration of fighting and how to do it, shall we say, well, or as humans do it, is I follow suit with the person who's instigating it, and I allow myself to mistreat them as much as they're mistreating me, or I bail. I get the heck out of Dodge and I just avoid it. But that doesn't work either because I feel really shitty and I don't know how to address it now.
And now please just understand a slight disclaimer. We're obviously, none of this we're purporting. If you're in a serious situation, of course you get out of there. I mean, physical and emotional safety at the highest level. I mean,
that's not even a question.
It's not even a question. We're talking about the nuances, the tighter places that we navigate every day, but those can, so just so we're really,
I'm
really
not
clear.
Afraid of my physical safety.
Exactly.
Right? There's not verbal abuse physically and emotionally.
Yes, just so we're very
clear. That is not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about interactions as a couple that tend to escalate, and we still do and say things that are pretty
damn mean. Yeah, no, you're right. Pretty nasty
and egregious.
Yes.
Right. So there's even a delicate nuanced line.
Yeah.
Where do we cross over into those abusive conversations and places and spaces? But we're erring on the side of caution here. And so if you're in what you would suspect to be an abusive relationship, then for heaven's sakes, get help immediately.
Mom, too, the way that you phrase that behavior part, I think is so interesting because I've worked with you guys for 15 years now. And even though I know all of this stuff, I would say so intimately, I never would have thought that when I'm going into a fight with my fiance that I need to be worried about my behavior first. It makes so much sense hearing it, but that is never the thing that we are most concerned about on the front end. Never. We don't even consider it. We're just focused on their behavior. We're not focused on what it's going to cost us on the back end by acting a bit cuckoo.
Yep.
Well, there's a classic, like, when it's over, like, God, I probably could have said that a little better.
That's what it's really the only thing you have control of. You don't have control over their behavior. You have control over your own.
But I mean, who among us, or even it's like, God, I probably didn't even need to say anything when I did.
Yeah.
That's the one that really hurt. Boy, that one's deep.
Yeah.
That wound is deep. Like, God, I didn't really even need to say anything.
Well, and once the bomb goes off, it's really hard to.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
No,
You know?
can't.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's a very important thing to look at how I'm stepping into this conversation before I'm hyper focused on them and their behavior. And this is commonly why on the backside, I'm looking for validation as to why I was entitled to do that. And I love to rally my friends and family and all my peeps and go, wouldn't you do the same? That just means there's something in that I don't feel really good about. And then I would say, clean it up. I don't need a throng of neighbors and friends to tell me whether they do the same or not. I don't want to bench who I am and my behavior on the behavior of others. It doesn't matter if it's matchy and somebody else would do the same thing that I would do. It's not going to negate or fix the awful, uncomfortable feeling that I have about me watching my own behavior and noticing that I am behaving in a way that doesn't feel good for me. So literally, you know what your win is in a fight? Feeling really good about how you participated in it.
Amen.
That is your win, regardless of what somebody else does, right? I feel really good about my participation in it.
Take that one to the bank, so to speak.
And the last thing that I want to just touch on here is when we start getting the emotion going and I'm hyper focused on either avoiding it or I'm feeding it. I could do either, choose either. It's going to create additional chaos and confusion that then becomes difficult to make sense of what is happening, what is going on. Like it becomes so muddled, right? Like our opening, we started talking about it happened for no reason. Seemingly, we were loading the dishwasher. And then all of a sudden we forget about the dishwasher and it turns into last year's birthday party where you got too drunk, right? And how did we get there? I was just asking you to put the forks in a certain container or telling you to please remember to turn them upside down. And then we're off to the races, right? And now I'm more confused and there's more chaos than ever. And so I have no idea with any kind of clarity what to do next. And so that's not going to take us to a place where we're looking for common ground, let alone find solutions. More chaos and more confusion because everybody's playing into it is not going to help us do that.
Well, you often share, Stace, that whenever both people or however many people are talking at the same time, what do you have? You have a fight.
Chaos.
You have a fight. And the more that gets thrown in, the more. Remember, very foundational skill set and principle in our body of work is in communication. There's someone that is in the reveal position and someone is in the witness position. Then there's a volley back and forth. They're not both going on at the same time. When that happens, it's a fight of varying degrees of escalation that are going to happen.
You don't have a listener, you have a fight.
Yeah. It's not possible to have a conversation when
who
both
in the
people...
hell listens in a fight?
Oh, but people who can talk louder and try to, it's funny that just the
That's such a good point. The reason you're fighting is because no one is listening.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which just creates more confusion, and more confusion makes me want to talk more, not less, as a human being. So I yell louder
and louder. Yeah,
louder. Right. And on and on and on it goes until we have an epic blowout.
Yep.
Right.
Pretty
where
predictable
we kind of
pattern when you think about it. Just different flavors and colors.
Yes. The flood comes on all at once as well. And so ironically, the more I'm in the chaos, the more I'm in the misunderstanding and the more confused I start to feel. Well, then you know what happens that's really not helpful at all is my logical brain, my executive functioning in my brain, because emotion has overtaken it now. Remember, emotion is the great creator. It's responsible for my behavior. Pretty soon, the emotion is so overwhelming that my brain checks out.
Gosh. Not good. Houston, we do have a problem.
So that's not helpful at all. In about a nanosecond, it's going to default to some kind of a protection mode, right? And now all I'm thinking about is how do I save myself? I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking about us. I'm not thinking about impact. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm just thinking about attack or get the hell out of here and hide and don't come out until it's safe.
Yeah.
Okay. And now my executive functioning is just, it's gone.
Well, I mean, again, it's the speed of which this happens too is just, I mean, you love amusement rides, babe. It's like that. It's like being on one of those roller coasters that you love. It happens that fast, right? So the skill required to catch this in real time, I mean, let's be honest. We got to give it a few practice runs for, right? I mean,
well, you got that 2.2 seconds on the front side.
Yeah.
And then it's going to get
Reminds me
pretty,
of that ride
pretty
you just told me
from
about
there.
where they you know it's coming, and then you like it's just you're shot out of a cannon, right? It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you never know when it's coming.
I know.
It's just like, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
yeah. And then all of a sudden, off you go.
I guess it just happened. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, those are moments where your brain goes offline too. Just reflect for a minute on what I'm saying. Okay. And please chime in, because have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're looking back after an epic blowout and you literally don't know or understand why I did what I did?
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing because you can't piece it together.
No.
I mean,
and how many times have someone shared with you that you said and did this and you're like, I did?
You're like, I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I can't even imagine myself saying that. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you almost go into an altered state.
Your brain goes just like it does on an amusement park ride. Like you take off like a bat out of hell, and anytime it's overwhelming to the brain just goes, I'm out.
Yeah.
You just made me think of something, because when you said that, I honestly thought to myself, I know I have, but not for a long time, which is great news because Jack and I have really worked on our communication. We don't get in those fights anymore. But this used to be such a sticking point for him with me, because I would go into this kind of altered state so frequently and I completely forgot about it, that he was like, I am going to start recording every single argument we have, because he was infuriated that I couldn't remember saying the thing he swore that I said. I didn't remember that until just now. And it happened so many times that I would be like, I'm honestly telling you, I don't remember saying that. And he's like, well, I think we need to take you to the doctor, because how can a person not remember saying so many things? But it's because of what you just said. I would become so overwhelmed and overcome with emotion that my brain would just switch off.
So I can understand both sides. The person that experienced it, and they're like, wait a minute, the heck you didn't, like, and I didn't have the recorder. Like, how could, like,
yes.
So, I mean, again, we're not dismissing it. We're just helping us all understand how this works. And there's always a physical component that Stacey's. So it's helpful to when we understand how we're totally wired. Like, oh my God, I could see why I said it, and I don't usually, and my partner swears I did, and I can't remember. Like, what a realization. OMG to the exclamation point.
Well, what won out? Was it my logic that said, oh, we're not going to be doing emotion right now?
Yeah, no.
Or was it the emotion itself? Just because I want to really drive home and emphasize the point that emotion is the creator of our behavior.
It's in the driver's seat.
Emotion wins. It wins.
Every time.
Well, it's even, I mean, this just shows you it will even overtake our physiological systems. Isn't that something? That's amazing that it can override your physiological makeup. I mean,
and I think it's also important for people to remember that just because your partner is not expressing an emotion in the same way that you would express it does not mean they're not feeling it. Because I also would get so annoyed with Jack because he wouldn't be like seeming sad, or he wouldn't be in the same way that I'm sad, or he wouldn't be seeming anxious in the same. And I'm like, don't you ever feel emotions? And you'd be like, yes, I'm feeling all of the things you just talked about right now. I'm just not expressing them in the way that you are,
Well, and everybody in the fight doesn't black out at the same moment.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would love to measure all that. It'd be a fascinating study.
Mm-hmm.
My system blacks out.
We all have different capacities.
And I'm at a certain place and threshold, and it might be different for you. So what good does comparing do?
Mm-hmm.
The way I function and the way you function, really all we're looking at for is a hall pass, right? To justify probably the things I'm not feeling so great about.
Exactly.
Or to understand where I might be functioning in a normal place. Well, what's normal for you? That's very different than what's normal for others.
Yep.
So comparison really doesn't take us anywhere in the world of emotions, because there's so many nuanced possibilities for us individually, right? But boy, do we love to fight about that.
So just thinking of, we all know the one that you hear all the time, but how about the comparison is the thief of a real solution? Altering that one that we hear all the thief of joy. I would say, no, it robs you of an ability to come to a solution that works.
So there's these two primary ways. I just want to name them. I'm not going to go too deep into them just in lieu of time here. But I really wanted to help us just break down in slow motion, like what happens when a fight starts to happen. And all of that happens in nanoseconds. Nanoseconds. And I'm going to probably go to one or two ways that we commonly deal with our behavior. And I'm just going to call them out. I've touched on them, but let's give them a name. I call these control and collapse. Control is me spinning up. Okay. And the sweetheart message of a person who is a controller is I want to fix this. I want something to change. I want something to be done. So that energy or emotion, shall we say, can feel pushy, right? Teachy and preachy, because they're probably the ones that are also out there doing all the research and taking all the quiz and probably listening to this podcast right now. I'm looking for things to get better.
Sure.
I want change to happen, and I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and give the gift of making that happen. Collapsers, by the way, neither one of these are inferior or superior to the other. They're just two ways that we commonly deal with emotion, and it's the emotion that's starting to feel overwhelming. Okay. Collapsers are going to want to bottom out. So their emotion is literally flowing the other direction. So one is flowing up and one is flowing down. And that flowing down causes me to just get quiet, causes me to shut down, causes me to kind of check out, leave the room. I have a tendency to minimize what's going on, right? There's like, we don't want to touch that. Okay. We're not going to go there, but I also don't want to address it.
Right.
Okay. And that's where it goes sideways. I don't want to address it because I always know where it takes us. And my sweetheart message is I'm just trying to keep things calm and stable.
Keep the peace.
Your story of you and Jack is a really great example of control and collapse. And it's very common that in relationships, one partner is a spin up and one partner is a spin down. Again, we won't go into any kind of a conversation about that, but I find that to be a spectacular notion. Because even the intelligence that we have within inside of us, right, is knowing what's good for us and what is a helpful counterbalance. And the thing that probably is a counterbalance is the thing that I don't really relate to or understand, and I can't wrap my head around it, but it's the thing I need to learn that's being literally demonstrated to me right in front of my face. Right? I'm probably too busy raging against it to actually think there might be a contribution out of it. Right? So one is saying, come on, let's move. Let's capitalize on this emotion and let it take us somewhere. And the other one's like, oh, no, we don't do that here.
And I would just a little bit slight addition to that control and collapse. Oftentimes when I'm talking with someone and I help them understand, and again, it's not a judgment, it's an observation. To be fair, most of us, what Stacy just described, I would say those are the two skills in our metaphorical emotional toolbox. That's the only tool we have. The control and the collapse. So fine, but like, let's add to that toolbox. And that's what we're talking about. We've got to understand, those are two places that the greater percentage of us go. You're not going to be able to get through this in a much more empowered manner and effective manner unless we add to that toolbox through increasing our skill sets.
Yeah. Well, and some of you might be saying, well, I do both of those. I bet you do.
Yeah.
Because they have a cycle.
Sure.
A controller is going to push and push and push and push and push until they grow exhausted.
Right.
And then they're going to collapse, probably not for very long because nothing happens in a collapse state, really. And so the conversation is commonly, see, it's always me. I'm the one that's always got to start the conversations. And I'm the one that's got to do the research and figure it out and drag everybody to the table to talk. And it's always me. And see, now that I've given my up and thrown my arms in the air, right? Nothing happens. It's always on me. And so I'll cycle back into control again. A collapser is going to try and hang out there for as long as they possibly can. And then there's going to be a place where that fuse gets lit that we talked about. And when that fuse gets lit, it's like they go into a cycle of control and they walk to the closet and they pull out their bat of truth and they start swinging it hard.
There's a whole lot of firecrackers in that cabinet.
It's like, you want to know how I feel and what I think today? Well, today is your lucky day. I'm going to tell you.
We're going to get the whole, collection of fireworks out on this one, Bab.
We're not just talking about today.
Yeah.
We're going all the way back, baby. You got 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of shit coming at you because I've had enough. And that's how it feels. And so then they finally spin up, right, to a point where it's like, enough, this is this. Yeah. And then they see the horror and the look on the person's face that's just like, oh my gosh.
I've never seen this in you before. Yeah.
And they go, see, I shouldn't have said something. See what I did? It's destructive. It's not helpful. I hurt the people that I love. And they go back into a collapse state. Right. And this is what creates our cycles of fighting. It's a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And so isn't it interesting that, the controller is trying to become more like the collapser? Well, I'm just not going to say anything. It's not that big a deal. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to do anything, right? I'm just going to put my hands up in the air and do nothing.
Yeah. It seems so easy for them to not say anything. So I'm just going to try to be like them.
Yeah. And that won't work. No more than a collapser saying, well, okay, starting today, right now, I'm going to tell you every time you piss me off. Every time. That's how we're going to get ourselves out of this. No, that's not going to work either. And I hope that as you're listening to this and looking at this objectively, you can understand and see why it's not going to work. It's not about that. There's this piece called the third option, which is we get to sit in a place of neutrality. Well, it means that I have the ability to be regulated emotionally enough that I can think, because I got to have my brain online, right? That's important. And I need my brain to understand my emotions and to have the awareness that I need in order to navigate myself through our conversation. And so neutral means I'm willing to share and talk, and I have an understanding and an awareness of myself and where I'm at in that spinning up or shutting down of emotion. And here's the deal. When I notice that I'm spinning up to a point where I need to pause, or my partner is shutting down to a point they're not listening, well, then we know we've come as far as we can in this conversation, don't we? Because if we're not in that neutral window, then nothing good is going to happen. It would behoove us to just end the conversation right there.
Yeah. And I think it's important that, and correct me if I'm wrong, babe, because when we hear neutral, we may think, this is just like nothing happens. No, it's quite the contrary. There's a lot of things happening, but probably not happening like it has always happened for you before.
Oh, yeah. The
right?
Emotions are still going up and down. Like I say, whenever you see a flat line of neutral and nothing's happening, you're not alive. So that's not going to work. I'm creating a state.
Okay.
A state that's neutral means I have the ability to share and I have the ability to listen. And if I'm not in that neutral place to share and to listen, then it's probably best we don't have a conversation. Gotcha. I'm responsible for maintaining that window. And if I can't, no problem. There are going to be some conversations you don't have a prayer's chance in hell of staying in that window for very long. And so you just need to close it.
Manage it, right?
So it's not anything to beat yourself up over, to feel embarrassed or ashamed of. This is not a time where we want to push through our emotions. In fact, if anything, we want to err on the side of caution, especially when we're having conversations that are really important. And so we want to honor that. And very commonly, we'll just hang on when I feel myself escalating. I know this is probably not going to go so well. I know I'm hanging on by a thread and resisting the temptation to say it. And then I say it. Damn it, right? I wasn't going to say that, but now I get to say that because blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Well, we want to err on the side of caution there. We want to pause that conversation long before I can't hold the tension of that emotion anymore. And same going the other way, right? The person who's collapsing and shutting down, right, is a way of coping too. Sure. And they're going, okay, I'm going to stay present. I'm going to listen. I can do this. I can absolutely do this. And then they start hearing a whole bunch of stuff for the, 3,000th time, and their eyes start to gloss over. And they're like, oh my God, here we go again. No, stay with it. Stay with it. Now they're hanging on by their fingernails too.
And then they're gone.
And then it's like, I'm out.
They're gone.
I've had enough. I'm not doing this. And so we wait too long. And unfortunately, what this gives us is, imagine driving a car and you have no brake pedal. What do you think is inevitable?
You're going to crash.
You're going to crash. There's no doubt about it. If I don't have the ability to use a brake pedal in a car, I'm going to crash. Well, same thing here. If I can't stop the flow of emotion in our conversation when I still have a choice, then we're going to crash. It's going to happen. And that's what we do. We usually hang on in a car that has no brake, and just pray to God that when this thing crashes, we're not all dead.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And that's to
Yeah.
have conflict resolution and think that we're going to solve some problems and orchestrate ourselves.
On Interstate 80, when you see the runaway truck ramps, I think, can you imagine going in one of them bad boys?
How scary that is.
My goodness. Like, I hope the P-ground, it slows me down enough till I get slowed down before I hit the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine what that must be like emotionally. An 80,000 pounds something.
You just pray that you don't run out of runway.
That's what I said. Like, I hope the runway's long enough to stop me before I run out of runway.
Yeah.
And so no wonder we don't have a very good relationship with conflict.
Jeez.
And having difficult conversations.
I was just thinking how incredible it would be if we all learned this stuff in elementary school.
100%. We should have.
Well, we're trying to make our dent
here
in our little in the relationship universe as we speak.
Yeah,
so.
I would say
that's why we do this work.
So we need to be able to, step one, pause a conversation, which now even brings up an interesting problem, because commonly when we pause a conversation, everybody goes, oh, we're never going to come back to it.
Yep.
Oh, this is avoidance. That's what we're promoting here. We're just going to avoid the conversation. It's never going to happen.
Here in the Smith house, we don't talk about that.
You just want to get rid of me.
Yeah.
Yep. So I want to just really point out that pausing a conversation does not mean we're not going to come back to it. In fact, I need to be able to push the brake pedal and keep a commitment and an agreement that we're going to come back to it. And from here forward, I want you to think about conversations as rounds of a workout. If it takes us 50 rounds to get through a conversation that's really challenging for both of us, then take the 50. Right? Give yourself.
We've had some of those 50 rounders or more, maybe 100 rounders.
Maybe 150, right? Slow and steady is how we want to approach this. And I also want to point out that we both need to be willing to do this. One person. So this is the epitome of where we're starting to step into the reality that relationships are a co-creation. I can't do it on my own. I need to have a participating person with me. So we can develop the ability to create a brake pedal. So when things start to kind of come off the rails, instead of panicking and waiting for the impact, we know how to use a brake pedal. And that builds confidence in ourselves, confidence in our partner, and confidence in the us that we are building along the way.
And the power of the pause.
It is a pause with a promise of when I'm coming back.
Right.
And then I keep it. I've got to keep it. And I want you to understand it's the coming back that makes this. Well, there's two parts: honoring the pause in the first place, right? Because it's hard to stop emotion that is already in motion.
Or you're mid-flight, right?
Yeah, you're not going to feel like stopping the conversation. I guarantee you.
I need to say here before we do that damn pause.
And has that ever done a thing for anybody?
No.
It's uncanny what the research says. It has not ever worked, not even one time for all of humanity. And yet it's the thing we continue to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Because we don't know what else to do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We don't know what else to do. So I have to honor the pause. Just know that there's going to be time to come back around. And when you're first practicing this, you're not going to trust it. You're going to think, whatever, they're not coming back. This is just another layer of avoidance and abandonment and blah, 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 blah. But I'll tell you what, when it happens, when you actually come back, it will change your life. When both of you show up at the table at the same time.
And I'll just add, we hear often when we step into this and work with our clients and members and such, yeah, we get to the pause, but what do we don't ever come back to it. So this is and I understand, but that we pause and then it gets put under the rug, but it never gets taken back out on. So you really need to have some clarity about when we're going. Do we agree, when this is the pause and such, when we're going to come back to it? Mm-hmm. Do we agree then?
Yes, you're saying, and this is why we need to err on the side of caution. Like when I start to feel myself spinning up or I start to feel myself shutting down, especially when we're first working with this, right? I want to err on the side of caution and just say so. I feel myself spinning up. Let's take a pause and we'll come back in 15 minutes, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, or when we see Stacy again, because I think this one's bigger than you and me. We're going to need some help and support with this.
Gotcha.
Right? And we go, okay, got it. I know when we're coming back. That is what begins to rebuild trust in ourselves, in our relationship, and in each other when you actually come back. It's really important. So then we have a tool that we can use. Now, of course, we're not going to go into what we do once we come back together. We don't have time for that today. In fact, I just wanted to make sure that you understood how we arrive at a fight, what a fight is, and then give you a first step in regards to managing it differently. And once we have a brake pedal, right? Not only do we start to build trust in ourselves and each other in our relationship, but I'm also going to not be so freaked out by conflict because I know what to do when it happens. Okay. And then there's a beautiful thing that happens when we pause, right? There's a beautiful place where I get to go and think about with some intentionality what it is I'm thinking and what it is I'm feeling. And that's going to be the piece I bring back to me when we reconvene. And so it helps us have a flow or an exchange of information in the pursuit of that understanding. Okay. Now, that all takes practice, but I'm going to suggest to you it's worthy practice and it's a whole lot better than what we're doing. Okay.
So if you forget everything, remember the power of a pause. So that would be synonymous with that brake pedal in your car. Okay. And that pause will also allow some equalization between our brain and our emotions. We need to slow the brain down. Right. So there has to be some equalization, as Stacey described, and this is all happening so fast. So just think of that pause as like that's that brake pedal. Bring some oxygen into your system and just take. And we have so many people, clients who we work with and stuff. My gosh, that is life changing. That power of the pause. It is.
I'm just going to quickly tell you, and I could be talking about several of our clients here because this is a very common experience.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Where the first time they use a pause, the person who's pausing the conversation, it comes out all clunky, messy, and they're stumbling over their words, and their armpits are really, really sweaty. And the person that they're trying to pause it with is like, I don't I'm really skeptical about all of this. And they're almost unwilling to do the thing. They're right on the verge of going, okay, I'm not going to push it any further. Right. And that is a huge win, by the way.
Yes.
And then let's say for the sake of the story, they've agreed that they're going to come back the following evening at 8:30. And one person in the partnership shows up, and it's the one that's probably pushing the conversation often. And they're sitting there by themselves, right? And they're going, see, I knew this wasn't going to work. I knew this wasn't going to happen. And then think about the moment where you see your partner walk in. Yeah, it might be 31.
Yeah.
And they sit down and say, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's pick it up, try again. And without fail, they say in a nanosecond, I watch years of stress and resentment fall away.
Wow.
Because it's given me a whole place to go that I didn't even know was possible. It's the coming back to try again with you, and we both willingly show up.
Well, and talk about
everything.
Talk about an incredible place to rebuild trust. Oh my goodness.
You're doing it there. And I want you to know that 50 rounds of that is far better than 150 calm conversations where nobody's really saying what they need to say.
But it's quiet.
Yeah.
Well said, babe.
Yeah.
Well said.
So if right now you're needing some help with that brake pedal, I'm going to encourage you to start with going to take our quiz at betterlovequiz.com. It's going to help you take your next best step here. And if you know that you are in a place where this has got to come to a halt and the quiz is great, it's going to give you some insight, but you know you need to take more action than that, then schedule a session with me. That is, you can book a private session with me at staceybartley.com/private sessions. That link, both of these will be in the show notes. The quiz is going to tell you where you stand, and a session is going to help you decide what to do about it now.
Well, I mean, if you've resonated, I always share with people when I'm talking to them. And a lot of times they come to us and our call through a podcast, and it's great. But I say, if you've resonated with our podcast, you've resonated with our experience here, I can assure you with tremendous confidence, you're really going to get a lot of benefit out of a one-on-one session with Stacy, whether that's here locally or we work with clients all over the world via Zoom. And I like to remind people there's no loss of efficacy there. Stacy, we found about Zoom like before anyone even knew about it. Someone at a conference like in 15 or 16 said, let's meet on Zoom. We said, like, what is that? So I just want to encourage you. I bet we do certainly equal or more sessions. Stacy works with people around the world via Zoom and it's a very, very effective process and way to deepen your understanding of where you're at and where do we want to go.
Yeah. So let's have a little bit of follow the fun here, shall we? Okay. Well, I thought the follow the fun is we got to create the pause statement.
Okay.
Let's have some fun with that. Okay. We want to do this now. We want to have a statement to pause the conversation, essentially creating our brake pedal before I need it. You can't rescue somebody who's drowning. You have to kind of be a little proactive with that. So when you notice yourself reacting, whether it's in frustration or loneliness or excitement, I'm going to first invite you to take one slow breath. That's taking advantage of that 2.2 seconds, right? Because if I slow my breathing down, I start to slow the emotion down and I also start to slow down my mind. So closing your eyes and taking a breath before you say anything is very helpful. Okay. And then the second thing I want you to do is just basically disclose what it is that's happening for you. I'm shutting down. Don't overcomplicate it. We've got a time frame here.
I'm finding myself turning into a really frickin' hot mess like right now.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stacey and I, we do it all the time, like on my bed, like I'm really triggered right now. We got to take a pause here.
I've come in from work and said, not fit for company. Don't even go here. Okay.
I remember Stacey's come in and then say, but I didn't like how that. I'm going to go back outside. She'll walk out the door again, regather, come back in the door again. People say, can I really do that? Well, yeah, try it. I mean, you can literally get that literal and granular, and we don't think to do that. Well, yeah, it's a do-over. We all can do a do-over. We could just name it like, man, I need a damn do-over. That was horrible. That was terrible. So you can bring some levity to it too. You're not dismissing what you've done, but just give yourself some grace. Number one. And
so find your statement.
Okay.
Just reflect for a moment on where it is I tend to go and control or collapse. I'm shutting down. I'm turning into a hot mess, as Tom said. And I'm going to pause this conversation until when? Name a time. Tomorrow.
And would you say what would be the maximum you would probably suggest to where we'll realistically come back?
Well, you don't want to go 24 hours more. I always say wait as long as you need to and not a second more.
Sure.
Because so much life passes in those moments. But also we don't want to rush it either. I would say there's no reason to go further than 24 hours unless we're dealing with something big that we really need some third-party help and support with. So sometimes, my clients will say, we're going to pick this up with Stacy. This is too big for us. And it's going to be several days. Yeah. So do it as quickly as you can and get down into smaller conversations. So I want to go there, but I don't have time to go there. I'm sorry. It's kind of like, what do we do next? Well, we'll have to pick that up in another episode. Just practice your pause for now and find the words and then go to the mirror and practice saying the words. And it's going to feel awkward and ridiculous and uncomfortable, but I promise you it's going to really pay off in that moment when you need to push that brake pedal. Our song today is Chris Stapleton's Starting Over. I just thought, you know what? We all need a do-over.
Yeah,
we all turn into a hot mess. We all have a tendency to cope with our emotions and our emotions get the better of us. So it's, hey, he sings, hey, let's take one last chance, roll of the dice. And let's think about starting over. Like, let's just try. Let's just go for it. So if you want to check this song out, you can listen to this song along with every song we've ever curated for Love Shack Live episodes by searching up Love Shack Live playlist on Spotify. And that is a wrap. Thank you so much for being here inside the Love Shack with us today. I hope that this conversation and helping you understand the nuances, maybe about fighting and emotion, will help give you something that you can implement and use in your own life. And if it's helped you, please reach out to us or leave us a review on our podcast or share it with somebody that is going through a difficult time with this fighting cycle in their own life in hopes that maybe it can offer them some support and help as well. Remember, love isn't enough, but skills are. Please learn them, practice them, and live them. I know we should have had them when we were in junior high, but we have them now. So let's do something with that. Bye for now.
All right, it's time to leave the Love Shack. But before we part ways, we want you to know our door is always open and we'll leave the porch light on, ready to welcome you back whenever you need a dose of relationship wisdom. For more resources and tools, visit us at loveshacklive.com to dive deeper into the topics we've explored and find additional support for your relationship journey. Stay connected by subscribing to our podcast. Thank you for being part of our Love Shack Live community.